I so. Clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Lawanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here talking about one of our favorites that is back. We are talking The Chi. This is season 4, episode 1. So if you hang tight, we'll be right back with you.
Baby, I know where the last one burned you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that I won't.
All right, everyone, we are back. And like I said, we are talking The Chi. This is the season 4 premiere, and it was titled Soul Food. And I love that title for what it represented in the storyline, because that was an epic part of this episode.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I was cracking up about that. And we'll definitely get there because Emmett is still a hot mess.
You can't change Emmett, okay?
His dad might be a little bit worse, but
yeah.
No, his dad is worse. His dad is definitely worse.
Yeah, Darnell's got it. He's got the trophy. But you know what? You know how they say
It's where Emmett gets it from.
Oh, yeah, as they say, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. But as they also say, you know, sugar and spice and everything nice. I'm not sure in the long run if sugar being Dominique and spice being Tiffany is going to work out as nicely as the riddle. You know, there's going to
that secret's bound to come out.
It's bound to hit, and when it does, you know, Tiffany, she could be a little hot box.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, if you looked at the opening of this episode, I was kind of confused. Like, is this a dream or is this a playback of the whole season? And are they giving it to us up front? So what did you guys think about how it was showing, you know, Kiesha was giving birth, and then it looked like, you know, Emmett was stressing out over his situation. Jake and Gemma were kind of like creeping off. And then it looked like Otis was shot. And so I was like, whoa, they gave us all of this right up front.
I think it's the time warp. I've seen some shows do that when they show everything like a quick blurb up front. It's like a teaser, and then the season works up to the finale, and then you see how everything plays out. So I think that's what that was.
Yeah, it seemed a little reflective to me, you know, with the teaser going, and then, you know, your mind trying to catch up with the scenes and figuring out, okay, so what we saw is just a taste of what's to come. But I don't know. I thought it was good taste. You know, I have strange feelings of, do I want to know who shot who at this particular point in time? It reminded me of the what do you call it? Serial Dallas. If you remember Dallas years ago, and it was Who Shot JR?
Who Shot JR?
Yeah.
Then Who Shot Ghost?
Yeah, Who Shot Ghost? Yeah, so I'm not sure if I wanted to know who shot Otis at this particular point in time, but we now know that will happen. So we'll have to wait and see.
But yeah, it seemed like I wasn't sure if it was a dream too, because like right after that, it shows Kevin waking up in Gemma's room. So I was like, was that a dream? So
I don't know, but it said a month earlier, so things may seem like they may happen kind of quickly.
Yeah.
That could be it. Yeah.
And I can see how some of it can happen because, you know, and I know we'll get there when we get to talking about situation with Jake and how, you know, right now it seems like Jake and Kevin are on opposing sides of the issue, of the police brutality issue, and Miss Gemma is woke. So I can see how that gets you know, her and Jake on the same side.
Yes.
Say what you want to say.
What were you gonna say, Ron?
I said to Tiffany, say what you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how they can, you know, get on the same page, because everybody was kind of on the same page except Kevin. Because even Papa and what's her Maisha, they, everybody was like, this is, this was wrong. And Kevin was like, he was more afraid of what was happening.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tiara.
Well, no, I was gonna say, like, I do want to talk about that because it looks like the police brutality and that whole situation will be a big conversation this season. So going into that, it seemed like, initially when Kevin was sitting with Gemma's dad, and they were kind of talking about, the Olympics not coming to Chicago because of the violence going on. It seemed like they were both like very conservative, had conservative views about, what was going on. And then as the episode progressed, and obviously we seen what happened with Jake and Kevin, and they kind of had their conversation, and Jake was like, well, maybe if I just would have changed my clothes, then I would have been all right. And Kevin was like, he was saying, you got away. Maybe I would have gotten away too. And Kevin was like, well, I got away because I complied. I listened to the police.
Exactly.
And I was like, he has very conservative views. And the reality of the situation is that when you're on the receiving end of some of that stuff, you might change your mind.
Exactly.
He almost was. They
Yeah.
they put their hands on him too and threw him to the ground as well.
They did.
They pulled the gun on him.
But you
They
remember,
did.
in past seasons, Kevin was always a little slow to come around when it comes to violence or doing anything violent, so he's slow to burn, but when he gets there, he's on fire. And that's what I saw in this particular episode. He wants to do right. He's a schoolboy, he's not really a thug. He just hangs around a thug, if you will.
But you know what? They get put in impossible situations, right? Because regardless of your role as a child, and this is a police officer, as human to human, somebody committed an affront against you, right? Somebody attacked you, assaulted you in ways that you didn't deserve it. And it's like, I don't care that you have on this uniform with this badge, you're still a criminal or a person that's assaulting me. How should I react in that situation, right? The conditioning tells us that we should comply because this person has on this uniform and has this position. But at the end of the day, you're a human being, and you employ self-defense tactics, right? To preserve the safety of your body.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like when they're having these arguments, we keep having this discussion because we keep seeing this. Is almost somebody keeps forgetting, though, I'm a human being. I have the right to defend myself. You don't just get to put your hands on me because you have this fictitious position that society has given you. You still don't have the right to do what you want to me just because you feel like it.
Exactly.
And I think I can see Kevin has been through a lot of trauma. So I see his position, not necessarily conservative, as more of he's trying to walk the line just to keep the peace, just because he's suffered so much. He's going to come around to see that you can't be passive in this situation. The era we're in now, it's not allowing people to be passive anymore. You're going to have to take a side.
We also have to understand too that for Blacks, we are in a police state, and they're policing us. They're throwing us to the ground. They're killing us. They're shooting us in the back. They're doing all sorts of things. And we always tell our kids, comply because I need you to come home. And I think where Jake made that mistake was to not comply with the officer, and not just not comply, but it's the terms of which, or the way he handled that situation when the officer asked for ID. Now, does he have a right to show or not to show his ID? Well, we all know our rights don't mean a damn thing when a police officer wants to do you harm. And if there's no video around, you're just another statistic. So as I, of course, and I would assume everyone else who has, teenage children, you tell them, comply, come home, let's deal with it later. Because really, that's all we have until we get further. There's another show that we're going to do later that is very interesting. And, it really talks to this very thing. What do we do? Do we fight for our rights, even though our rights aren't considered as rights as far as the police are concerned, or do we comply and try to fight in court later on?
Well, I wanted to add something to LaWanda's point, because like what she was saying, it kind of goes against your natural reaction. Like your natural reaction is to defend yourself. And in Jake's case, it's kind of like he wasn't in the wrong in that case. He had just been previously approached by somebody that was being combative with him. And so he's already in this state where he's like riled up. And then to be picked on by the police after they just witnessed you being approached, you know, aggressively. So if anything, you would think that they would have gone at the other boy like that and not Jake. And he's like, what did I do? Like, you just sit up here and witness me get harassed and you want to harass me further?
Well, Jake
so
and
like,
Kevin,
it goes against your natural reaction. So it's like, no, I don't. I'm not giving you my ID. Like, didn't you just see that?
but Jake and Kevin walked off. They walked off, and the police officers told them to stop. They kept walking. The police officer gets in his face, and he says something to the police officer. Because remember, you know, I am not okay. On that side of that badge. He did wrong. He had no business slamming Jake to the ground. I don't care what Jake said. I mean, because if he were white, blonde haired, and blue eyed, he could have literally cussed out the cop, and the cop wouldn't have done a damn thing. So we know that. We understand that. And you know, police officers in most cases, and at least in the cases that we have seen and we know of, they're just waiting for you to do something, anything, say anything, do anything, so that they can inflict bodily harm. And that's what they did.
You know what? Tiara brings up a good point, because when I go back and I think about it now, he did battle with one bully and just came up against a bigger bully. Yeah. So if you're the officer and you're watching it, and you intend to do harm, of course you choose the one that you see has an attitude that's gonna buck you. It's almost like they set him up because they knew what kind of reaction they would get. So it's like when you say comply, I don't know, I get it. I'm a human being, I'm being very realistic. You wanna come home safely, but it's almost like you keep, I don't know. It's like you suppress something in yourself when you keep giving in to these people who are essentially bullies, right? A bully with a badge and a gun, who has a sanction to go out and cause harm and get away with murder in most cases. And so I think these kids, at some point, this generation is tired of it. It cannot continue.
Correct.
There's no way we can justify or rationalize this type of treatment. And then you add the other layer on that he's getting paid with taxpayer money. So we're paying them to abuse us. Don't sound right, doesn't feel right. And it's not going to continue. This generation is not going to have it. I don't know if they see it, but I see it coming.
Right.
Malcolm X spoke of the ballad of the bullet. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
We'll be talking about that soon.
We'll be talking about that soon, but you know, it has come to that. And I feel with all these other, these storylines that we keep seeing, it keeps approaching that line. Just how much more are we going to take? Because you can only, as a human being, take so much. And speaking of human beings, cops are human beings too. And I don't believe that you should give that much autonomy over one man, over one human being, over another, because you're a human. And whatever your inflictions are, whatever your spirit says or is, you're going to do what that spirit tells you. They're not robots. So they're human beings, when we give them a gun to do basically whatever they want to. And then they can hide behind the shield so that they're even more empowered to do what they want to do. And therein lies the biggest problem. You know, when we talk about defunding the police, I don't believe that the police should be absent from your neighborhood, but I do believe that there need to be national laws that protect kids, adults, Blacks, from those kinds of destructive behavior that you see coming from the police day in and day out. And if you don't have a national law, like a hate crime type law, that's going to prevent them from doing that, they'll just keep doing it. So we need to get to Congress and say, force them to write those laws to stop this nationally, because each state makes its own law.
Well, it looks like that's what this episode might be heading. This season might be headed towards, because if you watch, after the show a little bit, there's a preview of Otis, going in and saying, it's time for change in this city, and it looks like he's going to be up against the police. Even when he was at the hospital with Jake, he was, giving the police officers their demands. And so it looked like it's going to be the friction between him as the mayor and then, the police department. And which I don't know if that's going to fare well for Otis, because it seems like, after he's been outed and, everybody's looking at him as like this possibly crooked politician, as the viewers, we know what he's done, but the city doesn't necessarily know all of his associations with the gangs and stuff. And so it's kind of like just being revealed, and that might hurt his standing and his perception with the public.
That may be why he,
I don't think he's the only gang member.
Yeah, that may be why that may be why he got shot. Because he wants to do something, he does do something.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Taking the stand, he might. We were thinking that the streets gonna get him. It might be his stance against the police that might get him shot.
That's what I mean. He's not the only gang member.
He's not.
Yeah,
he's not.
And then like just looking at the effects of that situation on the kids, because we seen Kevin turn to drinking and smoking. And then like when Kiesha was telling him to open up, and he was very against therapy, but like he wasn't even open to having a conversation with her about it really. And it looks like he's going to further shut Gemma down. Like that's going to create some friction with them, because he wasn't even trying to open up with her. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I thought that was really it was appropriate, because mental health sometimes can be like a faux pas in the Black community. Like, we know it's good, therapy is good and stuff, but sometimes in the Black community, Black women, and especially Black men, they don't always like to see therapists and stuff.
It's true. And Kevin was already hesitant with them to put the video out. He was like, I don't want it to make me look weak, so it's like the perception of like what doing certain things will make you look like. If I put this video out, then it's gonna make it look like the police punked me. If I go to therapy, then I'm gonna look weak, I'm gonna look like I'm crazy. It's always like you're afraid of what people will perceive you to be.
And I think,
but he's been in a lot of situations where he's felt powerless, right? Someone kidnaps your sister and you can't do anything about it. He wasn't the one to find her. He couldn't help in that situation. So I think as a young man who may have been in a situation where he was filling that role as the protector, as the man in the family, the fact that he couldn't do anything to help, and then he's once again placed in that situation, I think that's hard. I think that's very difficult for him. And he doesn't have the maturity to kind of figure out how to express that. It's almost like we see it coming, that we know he's going to explode.
Yeah, because these kids are like 14, 15. Yeah. I mean, they're kids.
They've seen a lot.
So, they have endured a lot.
Yeah, they've grown up pretty fast, and they're really little adults in kids' bodies, because as you said, it's hard for a man to sit back and look and see the trauma that goes on with his people, his family, and not be able to do anything about it. And not just, and when we talk about, going to see a psychiatrist at $150 to $200 an hour, most folk can't afford that. So even if we wanted to go see a psychiatrist, and a lot of times we can't, because, most of us don't have the type of insurance that will allow it, or can we really afford that? And the whole system is just starts to break down over top of you, and you're left as a shell. And that's what's really dangerous for these young men, because they become a shell. And once you do that, there's no spirituality in there. You'll go out and harm and hurt just because there's nothing left.
Well, look at what Trig did, though, because that kind of speaks to your point.
Yes,
because Trig has already had a rough life as it is too.
Yeah.
And so as soon as he heard about what happened to Jake, he was ready to see blood. He was on the hunt for the cops.
Street justice.
He went in at the end with that gun.
Because, and you know why he did that? Because we all know sometimes there's not always consequences for the cops.
No.
We've seen way too often when the cops have gotten away with killing unarmed people and things like that. So Yeah, so Trace was like, I'm taking this in my own hands.
Even when
Yeah,
Kevin
because
went
that's the
into his
language
pocket,
they understand, right?
right? And even when Kevin went into his pocket, I assumed to grab his phone to start recording. Cop pulls out his
He's
gun.
gonna show his ID.
Yeah. Well, he was on the ground or on his knees, and he was gonna pull something out. I thought maybe phone ID, whatever it was. But what does the cop do? He throws a gun in his face. I mean, they already assume that Black kids carry a gun around 24/7 and wants to blast a cop. But I implore you, when's the last time you read a Black kid or man killed a cop? I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it certainly doesn't happen to the point where all cops feel that just because you see a Black kid, that he's ready to shoot and kill you. I don't know where that mentality comes from, or even if it's a mentality. I actually think it's just a formation that they use, that they know that they can get away with. Because, you know, carrying a gun and a baton on you 24/7, at some point you want to use that gun. You got one. And that itch finger gets to a point where I want to see what happens if something happens. And you sometimes force it to happen just so you can take out that baton, just so you can take out that gun. And that's pretty much what I see going on with this, because there's just no excuse for it.
I wonder if they're ever going to link Jake to the mayor. It didn't come out that he was his former foster child or that he was once his guardian. At least we haven't seen that yet. But I wonder what the implications would be if that was made known, that he had a personal tie to Jake, and how
Well,
they
Jake introduced him as his dad last season at the little fundraiser thing.
Right.
Yeah, but it
He was
didn't come out in the press. You know, that they should, you would think they would have led with that, but that didn't seem to be what they were leading with.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I wonder, is that going to come out? And if so, does it make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And especially now that Trig is associated with Otis working for him, you know, I wonder if that'll come up and if there will be blowback from what Trig has gone and done and how that's going to affect Otis. I'm thinking
That's
it's coming.
Be blowback. There's going to be blowback for that.
And then, you know, the other half of this Otis situation is, of course, him and Rosalind are looking to go out and connect with, I guess, community groups and efforts, you know, for, you know, politicians always looking to put on a good face at the community events. And so he's trying to partner up with Tracy and her organization, but
oh, he's trying to partner up with Tracy, all right.
I was going to say, he's trying to do more than just partner up.
and Tracy too. Tracy looks like, and Rosalind gave her the green light.
Yeah, well, you know, Tracy had that eye at the moment, you know, the moment
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she had that eye. And it's funny how Rosalind said, oh, you want to, you know, my husband, okay, go ahead. I don't mind sharing, which is interesting because, you know, it seems to me Rosalind can only take so much. And she seems to take a lot from Otis.
I think they have an arrangement. Like
I think they do too.
So,
yeah.
And
Remember last season, she messed with his secretary and stuff like that. That told me a lot about their relationship too.
Yeah,
and I might be trying to get down with the three of them.
I think so too.
Oh, it's a strange one. It's a strange one.
It's an understanding.
But I don't know. It you know, you last thing you want to do as a man, last thing you want to do as a brother or a man is mess with a woman too much, too long. Because the wrath that she brings on you, I can feel it before it even happens. So if it were me, I kind of slow that roll a bit. But you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. So Tracy,
I was like, Tracy don't know what she's getting into. I think she's walking into the lion's den on that one.
Yes.
Well, listen, you know how I was feeling last season about Tracy. I told you, it was Ronnie's fault because he killed. What's it called? Coogie. Yeah, Coogie. But she, had he got out of town, he might have made it, and Tracy, running behind Tracy, he got up out of here. So now I see Tracy again trying to mess with this married man. Like,
you always say that women are a man's downfall. So I guess what you're saying continues
the
to
kryptonite. I say that the kryptonite.
Yeah, it's kryptonite. Yeah, so I guess you're right. You must be right.
But Douda has a nice physique, though. I did peep that, so I saw why she was intrigued.
Slow your
Yeah.
roll, Tiff. Slow your roll. Okay.
And
He
this
has
is
a
like,
certain appeal.
Huh?
He has a certain appeal.
He does. He does have a certain appeal.
and there's
Yeah.
a lot of strange relationships going on this episode. It seems like Jada is getting closer to her masseuse. I guess
Yeah.
against her better judgment, you know, she is still going down that road with him. And then on the flip side, so we brought it up a little bit before, but Emmett in his situation, and we find out this episode that Dom is now dating Darnell. So it's like, well, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Because he was around. He's
Okay.
around.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you would think that she would be the one to be like, father, son,
I know, but
This is
then
my-
she told him. Then she told him, and I was just like, okay, was that a good idea
Okay.
for her to tell him?
I couldn't wait to ask you ladies, which one is worse? Darnell with his sleazy self, or Dom after having a relationship with Emmett,
His
you
son.
turn around
Mhm.
and have a relationship with his dad.
And then they double dating, being all booed
They
up. I
double-
was like,
yeah.
this is a mess.
And you know,
not be Dom, because first of all, you slept with the father-son duo, but
Yeah.
not only that, she's smiling all up in Tiffany's face
Yes.
and acting all buddy like she don't know that she slept with her man. Like, come on now.
Yeah. I think that's gonna come out. I think that's gonna come out. And Emmett is incriminating himself because he was over there sweating bullets.
I
Yep.
mean, he and this
Every
show,
5 minutes, what y'all talking about? What y'all talking about? It's like you.
Yeah, he's acting real hot right now. So I'm like, he's about to out himself.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
guilty conscience that's getting to him. And then when that scene in Soul Food was on, and he was like, "It's the edibles." No, it's your guilty conscience that's
Yeah.
got you over there sweating like that.
And
Yeah.
that's because Tiff was going off like, I would do this, I would
Yeah,
do that. She was
exactly.
yelling at the screen. I was like, oh Lord, little did you know, because Dom was looking at her, Emmett was looking at her. I was like, uh-huh.
Yep. Dom was
You
peeping.
would think that she would want to stay far away from that situation, but she wants to continuously be up in their face with it. And it's like, that's the most backstabbing part about it. Like, you're going to look me in my eye and be buddy with me, knowing what you did. Like,
Yeah.
at least have
Mhm.
some dignity about the situation and stay all back off and let us do our thing. Don't try to be cool with me.
So I guess the consensus is that Dom gets the
Dom getting the hands this week.
She get the hands up
I'm
this week,
sorry.
yeah. Yeah. And how she thinks, Darnell looked like he run his mouth. I
Yeah.
don't know if he'll be able to keep the secret. And then number two, I think that Emmett is gonna blow his own spot up.
I think so. We already know Tiffany, she don't look like she played that at all. But
Mhm.
the other side of that is that it looks like her and Dom are not just buddy on the surface. Like, they're actually looking to go into a possible business partnership
Yeah.
with the edibles. And so mixing like business and pleasure. I mean, Emmett is already in business with her. And so it's like, it's just so messy on all fronts.
And Dom, I mean not Dom, and Tiffany seems to be friends with Kiesha too. Another one of Emmett's ex. Even though, I mean, I saw like after last season went off on the after show, that apparently Tiffany and Kiesha Burgundy, and I think her name is Hannah, they're friends in real life.
Okay.
So, I guess it makes sense to see them being cool on the show.
Right, when he said, "What a tangled web we weave."
Yes.
The Tiffany and Kiesha relationship is not as problematic because it's in the past, it's out there, it's known. So she's walking into that situation and she knows what's up. But the Dom thing, Dom, it's on her because she knew. She was the one who had all the knowledge when she entered into that. I don't know what she's doing with Darnell, but it will be that she would be the one that he probably actually fall for, right?
When that scene with them all sitting on the couch watching that movie, I couldn't help but think of Atlantic Star, Secret Lover. That song kept playing in my head, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's a mess.
That's a mess.
That's a classic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a disaster. I think either Emmett or Darnell, I think are going to be the ones to give it away. I don't think it's going to be Dom. It's going to be one of them.
No, it's not going to be Dom. It's one of them. And in the way Emmett is acting, he's going to give himself away.
Well, Dom seemed like she's got whiff of sodium pentothal, she wants to just start telling the truth all the time. So I don't know. It could.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe Dom. I don't know, because I feel like if she was going to say something, she would have came maybe out front with it by now.
No,
just like she did.
It's when they get into.
No, she's not gonna tell them.
No, it's when they get into business, and she's gonna feel all lovey-dovey, and then all of a sudden she's gonna feel like the truth is in her, and she's gotta let it out. I can see her doing that. I can honestly see it. You know, I just gotta let you know that while we're in business and everything looks good, I just have to tell you what happened. I hope you don't get angry. Yeah,
I think she gonna overhear. I think Tiffany gonna overhear. Maybe Emmett and Darnell talking about it or whatever. I think it's gonna come out. I don't think it's gonna come from Dom. No.
I felt really bad for Tiffany because like sitting in that room watching that movie and being the only one that don't know.
Mm-hmm. Because Emmett's mom knows too.
Yeah.
Jada knows too.
Jada knows.
Everybody know but Tiff.
That's the hard part. That's the hard pill to swallow, that everybody knows and everybody is still smiling in your face.
Which is going to make it worse when Tiff does find out.
Mm-hmm. Now I feel like Ron. I'm worried for my namesake because he was identifying with Ronnie last season. Now I'm identifying with my namesake. Tiff.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Protect her at all costs.
So y'all brought up the situation with Tiffany and Hannah. I'm sorry, not Hannah. That's a real name. Tiffany and Kiesha talking. So they were discussing Kiesha's going and meeting the possible foster parents for her child, and she was stressing over what to wear or whatever. But when she actually went to meet them, there was a lot of tension in that room between that couple.
Yeah.
So
hats off to Tapper.
What did you guys think about that situation, and then her eventually coming back over to the house to tell her the truth?
Well, first of all, hats off to Tabitha Brown. You know, she's in Facebook mogul and YouTube, and you know, now she does her debut with The Chi. And I thought she did a pretty good job. I thought she was rather.
Yeah, she did.
It's off to her.
Yeah, so you know, I enjoyed that. I'm glad they were able to give her a shot. She looked good, and her husband, you know, well, didn't have much to say for that joker, but you know.
He couldn't act to save his life, huh? He just could not pretend that everything was well with him.
Exactly.
No, and I, you know, I feel Kiesha, because I mean, you want your child going to a good home. And you can see the discord. It wasn't even underneath the surface.
Despite their big fancy house, you know, they had a very nice home, but I get her point. You know, I want stability, not just financial stability, but like a stable home environment with a 2-parent household, 2 parents that are on the same page. So I understood that. I think
probably end up keeping that baby.
I was just about to say that. I really think she's going to end up keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because it looked like Tabitha Brown's character is going to be, you know, popping up again in a couple of other episodes. I'm like, well, I don't know.
You know what might happen? She might decide to give it to her, and then she might have second thoughts. Mm-hmm. And it might be a storyline that they end up like Kiesha might change her mind and might start trying to explore her rights to get the child back and stuff like that. And it might, you know.
Yeah, that could be the case. Or I was wondering if maybe she would just want to, like, I don't know how those foster situations work out, because usually when you give up your child, you have to cut off all contact.
Yes.
Maybe the foster mother would like allow her to still be present, you know, even at a distance. I don't know. That just complicates things to me, though. So I don't know. That kind of just reminds me of the Mamie and Elise situation of Godfather. You know, it's hard to have a child and then watch them grow up calling somebody else mom.
Right.
I do know of a situation where a foster care where the real, you know, the natural mom knows of the, you know, of the family that adopted her child, and rightfully so, because if something were to happen to that child where, you know, you need to know about history, health history of the parent. You may need to have a blood analysis done, maybe some blood issues that need to happen. You really need to know who that parent actually is. So I'm an advocate for knowing, but of course it can cause a lot of confusion and conflict. But I think that in most of these type situations, I think it's good for the foster parent to know who the natural mom is, in that situation, just to protect the child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing Tabitha on here. I watch her on Instagram, and so it was great to see her make that leap. And I was proud of Kiesha that given how she conceived the child, the way she's advocating to make sure that the child, she gives the, I guess the best case scenario considering how she conceived it. So I don't know. I'm wondering what this is going to work out. I'd hate to see that relationship turn ugly with them fighting over this child. So
no, I hate to see that either. But maybe it'll work to the advantage point that if she does allow her, maybe Tabitha's character, what's her name on the show? Maybe she'll allow Kiesha to still be a part of the child's life in some way. Maybe they'll work it out in that way. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe being, I wonder what she does, because it seems like she's successful. So maybe, I don't know, maybe something in that relationship that she could show Kiesha on, what she plans to do with her education and career after she has the baby. So who knows?
Well, I just think that Kiesha wants for her daughter, for their baby, what she didn't have. And I think she knows the importance of having a mom and a dad. And I think from what I can tell from that situation, that she truly wants her child to grow up in a two-parent household.
Two-parent household, yeah.
To give that child a chance, because, she grew up rough and she doesn't want that for her child. So, hats off to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, but at the same time, being in a two-parent household doesn't always guarantee success. Of course, it does give you a chance in some cases, but that I don't know if that household is the right one, because they would really about to be at each other next.
No.
Right. Very good.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a lot more screaming and hollering when, Tabitha asked her, "Can I see you outside for a moment?" I thought that country was going to come out of her. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of this season. There's always a big event that happens that is the focus of the season. Last season it was Kiesha's kidnapping and return back home, and of course the pregnancy. So I'm wondering, is it going to be police related, or was that event the Kevin and Jake situation, or is there something else bigger on the horizon?
I gotta think that it's gotta have a couple more. There's something else coming along with that, because you don't just have the Kevin and Drake situation. You have Drake, doing what he did to that cop, and we don't know whether he killed him or not, but he beat him up pretty badly. So, I think that's a storyline that's going to follow through at least for another few episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Tracy situation, the Tracy and Rosalind and Douda situation. That to watch. What's gonna happen with Jada, and is she gonna get serious with the masseuse?
She likes young men. He seems to be a little younger than she, so he
is younger than her.
He's Emmett's age.
He's like Emmett's age.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I said. That's gonna be a problem for Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Emmett has enough problems to trying to worry about.
I was gonna say Emmett needs to mind his business, but it's gonna be a problem with Emmett.
Okay, well, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what unfolds, because it seems like, like we stated earlier, they kind of gave us a lot up front, and so I'm hoping that there's some twists and turns that'll keep us on our toes and keep us guessing.
But you know what though, last season, didn't we say that we thought that Jake liked Gemma?
Yes.
On one of the recaps, we did say that last season, that we thought that something was up, because he just was so hard on her and stuff, and just to the point, does he like her? And even Trigg said it. Trigg said it in one of the episodes, why do you
why do you
like her? And he was like, no, I can't stand her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because I wouldn't have expected that from Lil Gemma. So
Yeah, that's, whew, you talk about a broken heart.
I know, but you know, he was declining calls and stuff, and
right, but Kevin might turn into a savage after that.
oh yeah, he might. He was declining calls, and then you know he hasn't been able to really relate to, you know, the civil rights discussions that they're having.
He told her he loved her in front of his boys, no shame. You know, he was putting his heart all the way out there.
Yeah.
Oh, puppy love.
Uh-huh.
And then reality set in.
Yeah.
I keep getting these old songs. These old songs keep coming in my head. How do you mend a broken heart? Al Green. You know, I'm really showing my age here, but I got to stop this. You know?
Rhonda put together a whole playlist for this episode.
Yeah, he did.
Oh man, I'm gonna stop.
It's all good though. But I enjoyed it. And do you guys have anything else you want to add or any predictions you want to throw out there before we close out? I think we kind of covered most of it.
Yeah.
Money was ride or die. She always a lookout.
Always.
That's true.
Yeah.
Money and crime.
Uh-huh. She is ride or die.
Yep. Okay. Well, if we don't have anything else to add for the shy, I'll go ahead and close out and just thank everyone for watching. Please make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, click the notification bell so that you get alerted every time that we post. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Spot Real Talk. You can go over there and give us a follow, and we'll be sure to follow back. But drop in the comment section and let us know what you thought about the season premiere of The Shy, and let us know what you expect and what you're looking forward to for the rest of this season. Also follow us over to Godfather of Harlem because we are recapping that one next. So follow us and make sure that you watch that video once it's released as well. Anybody else got anything to say?
I think you said.
I was just gonna say, last season we interviewed Lena Waithe, so also check out that interview on our channel as well.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we are going to call it a night, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm all in. Brody on the line, I'm tapping in. God out here pulling the strings for me. A girl on the line, she feeling me. Preoccupied by the motivation. Put in the time, pay the entry fee. Bro on the rise, yeah, he kinda nice. Inside of my mind, no one's real as me. Lately, life has been gorgeous. Wake up to clear, my eyes hit recorded. Praise up to God, I ain't chasing no swinging and miss, got me hitting these lips. I get the orders, don't get it distorted. Disconnected, I've been cordless, I've been cordial, I've been exploring. I got a whole lot, but somehow I want more of it. Yeah, I went to tour and put on for the soil. Hey, bruh, remember they used to ignore us? Now they drop me the pin with the cord and they catch me running through the ordinance. Remember we couldn't afford the whip.